imagine she's pretty used to doing research and things of that nature. So I'm looking forward to a well-researched speech from Emily. So please welcome Emily Toffel, Gluten-Free or Gluten Folly. Gluten-free or Gluten Folly, Emily Toffel.
I have an aunt, and she works at this upscale grocery store in San Antonio, Texas. Her job is kind of like being a really fancy version of a Costco sample person. Since she works in the service industry, you can bet she probably comes across a lot of interesting people. My favorite story that she's ever told me was when she was handing out apple slices. And I'm sure they looked like regular run-of-the-mill apple slices. One woman came up for a sample and she said, "Are they gluten-free?" Hello, they're apples. Of course they're gluten-free. I feel like a lot of people jumping on the gluten-free bandwagon don't exactly know what they're getting into. It was even featured on the Jimmy Kimmel Show in this segment, Pedestrian Question, where he found people who were following a gluten-free diet and asked them what gluten was. No one could quite exactly hit the nail on the head. So I decided to do some research as a person who loves delicious bread and pasta and find out, what is gluten? Why are we so concerned with it all of a sudden? Is gluten sensitivity really a thing? Let's start with the basics. Gluten is a mixture of proteins that is found in the endosperm of wheat, barley, and rye. It's what gives dough its elasticity so we can form bread and pasta into shapes. And if you're still wondering, no, gluten is not in apples. I'm sure we've all been hearing a lot more about gluten sensitivity and celiac disease. What are these things? What are their differences? Well, the National Foundation for Celiac Disease says that 1 in 100 people have celiac disease. And this is an autoimmune disease where if you eat just a tiny bit of gluten, your immune system will attack your small intestine. And you can come up with some pretty nasty symptoms, such as gastrointestinal distress, chronic fatigue, osteoporosis, anemia, and nutritional deficiencies. Celiac disease can be diagnosed with lab testing. On the other hand, there are people who self-diagnose with non-celiac gluten sensitivity, which 6 in 100 people are known to have. Symptoms include abdominal pain, fatigue, headaches, and foggy brain, a little bit less severe. And the National Foundation for Celiac Awareness says that there are currently no tests that can diagnose this. However, a lot of people are claiming to have issues with gluten. So has anything changed to cause all this? We've been eating wheat for thousands of years. Some think that the change is due to there being more gluten in our wheat, due to the rise of industrial agriculture, and that over the years farmers have bred these super grains that now have more gluten. However, in an NPR interview, Dr. Donald Casarda from the USDA is someone who's been studying wheat for 40 years, and he looked back at the literature and found no difference in gluten levels in wheat from the early part of the 20th century compared to today. So if wheat hasn't changed, is there really such a thing as gluten sensitivity? Well, there has been research done about it. One paper by Peter Gibson, he's the director of the GI unit at a hospital in Australia, and he published a paper on gluten sensitivity, and it was published in the 2013 Journal of Gastroenterology. In his experiment, they fed mystery muffins to the participants, either gluten-free or gluten-full muffins, and these were people who had claimed to have gluten sensitivity. And they found no difference in the health levels between the people who ate the gluten-full muffins or the gluten-free muffins. However, there was another aspect to his research that studied FODMAP carbohydrates, which are a type of carbs that go far beyond wheat, and they're also found in fruits and vegetables. maybe we should really be looking into FODMAPs instead of gluten. So far, we've talked about the myth and the sudden rise of gluten levels, and we've discussed research that questioned the existence of gluten sensitivity. If all this is true, why is the gluten-free movement gaining so much speed? I think this is really due to all the money that the food industry can make. Everyone is always searching for that one superfood or super bad food that they can eat or not eat, and as a result, it'll make you skinny, healthy, beautiful, and rich. And we've all seen this. We've seen people eat low carb, eat high fat, low fat, people who just eat kale. Marketers know, and they've been marketing gluten-free food as the next fountain of health. However, gluten-free foods that are made with replacement flours are often made with corn flour, white rice flour, or potato flour. And these flours aren't very good to you compared to wheat. They're high on the glycemic index, and they're low in protein and fiber compared to wheat. However, food companies have managed to sell products under the guise of health, and the gluten-free food companies are set to rake in $15 billion in annual sales by 2016.
Visiting hours for adult services are over in 10 minutes. Thank you for your cooperation.
That was $15 billion in annual sales by 2016, according to the market research company Mintel. In conclusion, I hope you all will do your own research before dropping the gluten. Don't reach for the gluten-free pasta just because it's healthy if you don't have any issues digesting wheat in the first place. If you still have issues, I encourage you to see your doctor because you may be sensitive to FODMAPs or actually have celiac disease. If nothing else, if Jimmy Kimmel approaches you on the street, I hope that now you all know a little bit about gluten and will not make fools of yourself on national television. Thank you.